Yeah, guts is still worthless. And the reason I say, yeah, I haven't even used a lot of my toughness 30s. I really should, because this is the... If there's anything to learn, I'm gonna say that a few times, but if there's anything to learn, yeah, just use your toughness 30s. Use about... You can feel free to use about half of them as you are trying to basically learn the game and or do your early grinding, which is the more important part. Because it's important to set your team up now, as opposed to just waiting for your TP to refresh, and you're just sitting there being like, no, I want to train, and then you can't. So, yeah, without further ado, let's just get into it. So first here, if nothing else, this video exists for you to see how I'm trying to train, and I think everyone has these, well, the first 5 Musume here. I'm picking Daiwa Scholar here because, as you can see, I'm going to play with pace, so if you're watching and or listening to this video, it means I haven't used my first recording, which was kind of in the middle, but... yeah, it was in the middle of a run, and I figure I might as well just do a clean one, because why not? So, and really, yes, I'm trying to find a good run. So, not that, I'll let you know what happened, but I can't give, well, I can give you the receipt, but hey. So, without further ado here, let's learn my lesson here, and we'll take a Super Creek. So... We'll just take a Super Creek. And along with that, I should probably take a Power as well. We'll replace Aoi here. To me, Aoi is more a safer pick, but not if you need the stat in question. In this case, it's going to be Powered. But we're picking the Stamina. We're picking Super Creek Stamina because, well, 1, it's good, and 2, it has a skill, but 3, so I can get Rainbow Training in Stamina, if possible. So, and we'll try it out. Again, I'm still testing things out myself, so... As we get started with training here with our inspirations, again, we're going for the Pace Chaser style. And we're going to see how that goes, because I have it on A. Now, I think that does... We'll just do a little quick Golshi review. But if we look at Gold Chip's Warning Shot, whereas you'll... I'm going to be upgrading this soon, but... excuse me. Oh, yeah, it's... Some skills proc off of specific requirements, so if they're in a certain style, I can imagine that some skills are harder to proc. Oh my goodness, give me bonds, please. Are harder to proc. Gold Shivs there should still proc, and if it doesn't, well, we're still going to run pace. Again, this is more an experimental run, although granted, yes, I have not URA'd Gold Chip yet, even though I've done, I think, 5 to 10 trainings by now with Gold Chip. A lot of them failing because, again, I just wanted to experiment with what I have. Again, you work with what you've got, unless you have the resources or you're a whale. When I say when you have the resources, I mean... and I'll bring the story up again. You're someone who has both Fine Motion and the Super Creek SSR, with one of them being uncapped because you're that lucky. Rule of thumb, though, if anyone wants to play Musume now... Oh my goodness, where are my bots? Yeah, if you want to play Musume now and you get either of those SSRs, just stick with the account. The reason I say that is because I did rerolls worth about 400 to 500 scouts on the support card gacha and didn't see a single one of either. I did, however, do a 20 pull with an SSR uncapped, but that was the only time. And then I got 1 TM Opera O because I did 10 pulls. But aside from that, there are other things I'm going to talk about, so if you at least want to hear, if nothing else, my opinion on things, then hey. But some of the things I say can be proven just by looking at everyone else training. So, that being said, first and foremost thing, Guts. Guts does have an effect. It just does not have as much of an effect because of a certain effect that is absent right now. And I'm pretty sure it's absent. I feel 98% sure it's absent, because usually during a race they'll tell you things like, if your Musume is being rushed, if your Musume gets a late start. I should really just use the English phrase. But you get what I mean at this point. If either of those things are happening... I really should do stamina here, but it's fine. You'll see it appear on the top of your screen. No! So, yeah. And because one of the effects is called Showdown, which uses Guts as its primary consideration. So a showdown happens between 2 girls running during certain requirements, like I think they have to be running at the same speed within range of each other, 1 or 2 lengths of each other, and it's not that specific. You get the point, though. There are requirements, and when it happens, it uses Guts to determine a winner and see who pulls up ahead. But since that does not exist, and I think that's one of the most important Guts changes that exist, that does not exist on Global right now, I'm pretty sure, then yeah. But when that happens, it then gets thrown into consideration. As it is right now, it does provide an effect. It's the simple version is its end race stamina, but it does not provide enough of an effect where you basically can just build stamina and be just fine. I'm just gonna double up on stamina here, or speed, because I need it. We want our mood increase, but we need the stamina more. But otherwise, again, if you're like me and you're sitting on, I am sitting on URA winning support cards. You'd be surprised to see what you can work with. But I am not, one, playing in the ways that you should be playing, and two, I am not training the Uma Musume I should be training. I do have a few URAs already. Obviously, Bakshino, if you didn't know, you just build speed and wits. With, you could throw in some stamina here and there, but for the most part, you just spam speed and wits. And then similarly, like as it turns out with other, like you see Silent Suzuka here, you just throw in speed. So we're not going to watch every race. There is this race I'm going to watch just to see, and the other one. The judges' evaluations are pretty close, not certain, but they're pretty close to what will happen. So I am just going to skip to the late, and we did get a late start. So what I meant by messages appearing is that you'll see it appear on the top right. Late start, I think, depends on wits. There's it has a higher chance the lower your wits are, but hey, that's not what Gold Ship's known for anyway. But again, in the junior debut, unless you're where I am, where you're just trying to get URA champions left, right, yeah, I mean, that's the primary goal for most people, but really winning URA championships or winning the career mode that you're doing, because that'll be relevant to use as a phrase later, is important in building good inspirations and legacies. So, that being said, there is still just RNG in general as well, so don't let it be said that that's not the case, because anyone who has been, well, if you've gone into middle, even just mid-game, or to me, mid-game is essentially grinding inspirations, or trying to look for inspirations that you want, so you're going to be grinding career mode to get inspirations. If you're going, again, it depends on how, what do you want to say, sweaty, try hard, how much you want to go in to trying to win other modes. Otherwise, if you're just doing career mode, yeah, you can play with a few Uma Musume and just be fine with that and get URA champion. But if you really want the more of the experience, yeah, you do want to start making legacies, preparing legacies, so on and so forth. And the good news, if you want to immerse yourself more, is that you can prepare for events that are coming up. Now, I don't know if you get enough time. To me, it's enough time, but I'm deciding whether or not I want to just do more speed. Yeah, I do want to do more speed. Yeah, it depends on how far you want to go. If you just want to get URA champion or just clear the events, sure, but getting good inspirations and legacies will help out. Not that you have to do it, but I would recommend it. Especially if Uma Musume is a chill game for you, where you can just do whatever you do during life and then just tap on a turn every now and then to do training, so on and so forth. So that being said, we are looking for, so another thing to note, if there's anything else to take away from this video, is that you do have, at least for the career that you're doing, for the most part you know what races you're going to do. So if you are failing a certain race over and over, you can take skills that relate to that race. For example, there is a green skill, very specific example, there's a green skill that works off of non-multiples of 400, which would work here in Kikuka Sho, but I would not recommend it if you have a good chance of passing it. But of course, the trade-off is, yeah, if you're failing to get past the race because of the requirements, so in this case, you don't get top 5 or top 3, whatever it is, then obviously you should have taken the skill. But if you don't need to take the skill, and say you're confident on clocks and whatnot, then go ahead and go without the skill and win, or use a clock and win. Because that would be better for, if nothing else, inheritances or inspirations, legacies. I'm going to call it inspirations. Because the more skills you have, the more that the game can roll into giving you a legacy that you may not want, but, I mean, again, if you're early game here, you don't need to worry about that as much. That's the devil's advocate of what I'm just saying here. And again, if you don't care at all, just feel free to just train however you want. But again, if nothing else, you can go up into your details up here and see what races you have to do. That will give you a clue into how you might want to build your Uma Musume, especially if you're just trying to get to URA or win URA, because you can't get to URA if you fail your goals. The game just ends. So So moving into stats here, I mean, I'll just simplify it again. You really shouldn't, but for the most part, take as much speed as you can. Speed is essentially your max speed. Without higher speed, your Uma Musume may fail to just even make it first because another Uma Musume has higher speed. Shrug! Stamina, the longer a race, so for example, Gold Ship here has a lot of medium and long races, which require more stamina. There's more I'll say on that later. So a shorter race requires less stamina, a lot less, especially in this specific scenario, we'll call it. And let me see here. And then power determines, it is acceleration, but it's also your ability to pass Uma Musume that are in front of you. So you might have the speed, but your speed essentially, if I recall correctly, it's locked if there is an Uma Musume in front of you who is running slower, because then you can't just phase through characters in this game. So you need power to go past them, and then you can make use of your speed. Unless you run out of stamina, which is essentially, if you want to think about it in another way, it's a form of HP. So you need to spend HP to use the power to pass girls, to use the power to accelerate in certain phases of the race. We'll call them phases here because that's literally what they're called here. And most importantly, you'll see the most during the last part of a race when you need to get first, essentially, is the goal. But in the cases of the goals here, like sometimes you only need to get top 5 or top 3. Sometimes you just needed to participate. So that's a breath of fresh air. But for the most part, usually the difficulty overall is where it's at. Now, there are some Uma Musume that are harder to train, just straight up, but... And it also depends on if you have the support cards to properly train those girls. Without them, it gets harder, but it's not impossible, unless you just get really, really unlucky. But that's what you can train other Uma Musume for, and then use them for Legacy. So again, it's really, really hard to not find a winning strategy. Usually it's a misplay during career mode, whether it's the preparation up to it, like you're using the wrong support cards or legacies, or you make a choice and then a doctor just ruins all your stats, although for that specific event, people just normally roll. But feel free to do what you're comfortable with. I say don't even risk it if you're even just having trouble reaching URA. So if I run into that event myself in this video, just ignore what I do basically, because I'm just gonna roll the dice and see. But as we're sitting here, so yeah, I know I don't have a lot of speed. I have some power, and then guts I pretty much don't care about. That's been proven in point. Whether if you go look at other people training their Uma Musume and whatnot, yeah, they increase their guts by 200 or 300, but their stats are already high enough. I would guess about upwards of 400 to 500. Some of their stats may be like 300, but you get the point. If all of your stats are around 300, 400 above, you can win URA with pretty much any Uma Musume. It might be a struggle, but you can win. And so the reason for that, as I will connect back to stamina here, I know I'm just kind of yapping on non-stop, but I'm doing that both for the sake of the video not being hit by robots, because certain pieces of music, let's just say, can get you flagged. Not that I'm monetizing anything, but also just to put information in where I can. So yeah, back on stamina. So you need less stamina, at least for this scenario, URA finals, than you do in the real game. You'll notice this if you want to prove this, or if you want to see this the most and prove it for yourself. If you do a race with the same kind of specs, so say 2,000 miles, or 2,000 meters, sorry, right side track with an uphill, if you race on that same track in the PvP mode or team mode, and you notice that suddenly your Uma Musume just doesn't have enough stamina, and you'll know because they suddenly just drop to the back, then yeah, that's how you can tell that the requirements for succeeding in the scenario, at least in the URA scenario, are lower than outside of the scenario, basically. Which is a good thing. You want to be able to do that, because if you're going to be grinding scenario, if you're going to continue playing Uma Musume and you're starting on the grind, essentially, you want to be able to pass it easier, because then it makes it easier for you to get to trying to grind for the inspirations, legacies that you want. That being said, again, I'm not really paying attention too much here, but, I mean, I'm just following bonds. If nothing else, yeah, if you see 4 or 5 bonds in a training, try to shoot for it. If there's a chance of failure, that's to your comfort level. If I see anything above 0, I hold my breath and pray. But we're also looking for Super Creep here, and I haven't increased my wits, which is kind of important. There is a strategy for certainly a lot of pace and front style Uma Musume. I don't remember Super Creep events. where you just increase speed and wits, that will be fine for them. But if you're using a late runner or end runner, then you might want more power, essentially. So from front runner to end style, essentially your proportion of speed to power will change. Now, usually you want speed, and some people are just fine running end style, but again, that's what I mean by, at least in scenario mode, you only need a certain amount of power to succeed. Whereas in speed, it's always nice to have speed. So some people might be running end style with just as much or a little less power than their speed, and some people run a bunch more power than speed. But if we're talking about the scenario, it doesn't really matter because you only need a certain amount of power to make it matter. This changes once you come out of the scenario mode, especially when you're doing Legend Cup races, event races, PvP modes, so on and so forth. So, and while the judges and the evaluations do give you an idea of how well your Uma Musume will do, it's not the whole story. Again, anyone who's done Bakshi no with speed or speed wits primarily will know, because it'll look like you have a circle sandwich with a dash in the middle. That's what it seems like. Or everything except for your speed and maybe your wits are X's, and you still come out just fine. You might use a clock or two here and there, but for the most part, you'll be just fine. Me, on the other hand, yeah, we're sitting here, we're running Gold Ship as a pace style, so shrug. But that means I don't need to try and build as much power, but I still need a lot more stamina. I think I still want a little bit more stamina. I don't remember, because I actually wasn't keeping an eye on how much stamina I have right now. Top 5 at least? That would be nice. I think that's what I need. Nope, we did not. We placed 6, so we have to clock. So, that's our first clock. For those who don't know, your clocks are the total amount over the whole scenario. So if I use one here, I only have however much I have remaining for the entire scenario mode. Easy advice, but again, I don't know who might be watching this video. And again, this video is if for no one else than myself, but really for anyone who wants to see someone training an Uma Musume. And with the extra trait on that is that as a complete free-to-play, because I don't for gacha games in general, I don't spend any money. I would like to say, like, I don't take pride on that, but I guess I do. I mean, I'm not gonna lie too much. There. So, yeah, with this, probably should have taken a skill, actually. So there are definitely veteran trainers that say not to take skills because it's pretty much worthless. But again, as I mentioned before, if it's the difference between you failing a scenario outright, yeah, just take a skill or two here, there. But if you can, and when you do have the luxury, as we actually win this race, you don't need to take a skill if you don't need to. So, yeah, there's that. On top of the guts issue, but then again, we don't have all of the guts. And if we do, I mean, I feel 98% certain that guts it's nice. If you can squeeze it in, I mean, it's a stat that is used, but it's not the... As you can see here, I have, like, literally no guts increased since the beginning, and we're doing, well, I mean, I had a clock once, but we're doing just fine. It's probably really speed, but wits as well. The good thing here is that I at least get my summer, and I want to try to hit 300 stamina and see if I can change the future, because in my first recording I only had about 250 stamina and I was running out of stamina. Granted, the next in Kikuka Sho, someone who took Japanese, by the way, it's a long race, so you need more. But I think it is accurate to the meters and not just the length. So if something is long with 3,000 meters and something else is longer by at 3,200 meters, I think you need a bit more stamina because it's by numbers and not just by the classification. And if I'm wrong about that, please correct me. Yeah, but otherwise, as we sit here, another just a random tidbit is that as you get stronger support cards, you obviously won't need as much stats unless you're inspiration grinding. But if, say, you're title grinding because you want fans, or you need fans to proc certain things in events, wink wink, then yes, you will be racing more, or you will be racing a bit more to try and farm fans. Or if you're trying to get certain trophies or grind certain things, because you can do quote-unquote major races that are not part of your goals. For example, we can enter Yasuda Kinen here, and I think this grants materials for promotion and potential whatnot. If not, you get the point. If nothing else, you're trying to get fans, and that is nice as well. We're early June, by the way, so what we're gonna do... Actually, do I just go the whole way? Yeah, I'm just gonna go... We need more speed, by the way. But I do want to rest before summer. Another guaranteed takeaway for anyone who doesn't know as much Uma Musume is, yeah, I I would advise you to rest before the summer. That way you can do the summer trainings. Essentially, they're a lot stronger than your normal trainings. Shrug! I might go to 320 stamina, but the point is that I'm here for stamina. Now, we didn't get a single thing, but let's see. I think we'll do speed instead. I try not to rest during summer, but if you can get the rest's worth, mainly the mood increase, like you're at good and you're missing energy, then go ahead and rest. I don't like to, though, because, you know, you might want to do something else. So we're going to take wits again. That's not good for our speed. I would rather have done speed, but we do need wits as well. And we'll take strength because I'm starting to remember gold ship events again. So you want to smash the watermelon here for strength. I think the bottom one is guts, and since that's a worthless stat at the moment, then hey. And here, yeah, here's the rainbow stamina I was waiting for. So we'll go enter the 3,000 meter race with 320 stamina. I think you need 400 for long races, but hopefully we do things. Do I have Super Creeks still? Otherwise, we'll look for it. I mean, we will be in long races, but I would like to not, but it's the only one I have, so we're going to take it. I should be trying to learn Super Creeks. I keep forgetting the name. Let's just learn the name now. I recognize it in Japanese, and it's a gold skill anyway. Never mind, I lied. I think it's part of the event. Yeah, if you go into the events, you can see Swinging Maestro. That is what it's called. This is what you want to pick up from Super Creek's SSR. But there are other effects that Super Creek grants you. I mean, just in general, these effects here can grant bonuses that are very, very important. I personally like the starting friendship, at least starting out, because that way it's easier to do rainbow. But again, yeah, you can go into these events and see. I think that helps out getting Swinging Maestro anyway, so we might as well start getting stamina increases. Although taking a speed increase would probably help too. Actually, yeah. If I have, never mind. I don't even see it here. I don't know why I thought I could pick up simply Rudolph's skill. But anywho. I think we're just gonna rest and try to go. We'll gamble on the next thing. So this is something that to think about when you're training. It's waiting for turns in which you have better training, whether it's through bonds or if someone else is there to grant you extra increases. So in this case, we'll set up the example based on this situation where I have 3 turns left, and we get okay, fine. I should have actually just trained there if I really wanted the stats, but we're looking for the long term here. But if I didn't get that, if Gold Ship didn't get a migraine there, the situation was I could have just trained on stamina on the 3rd turn away. And sure, I could have gotten some, train speed. And sure, that would have been fine, but I think I would rather rest and hope that I get rainbow training or more efficient training. Because if I'm going to rest and train speed anyway, the order does matter, because if on the 3rd turn you have no rainbow training, for example, and on the 2nd turn you did get it, then if you're going to rest anyway with the same success rate, you might as well take in the turn to train with more points gained than not. That's the simple. I mean, that should be something you can find out on your own, but just to lay it out there, yeah. So we'll watch this, because if nothing else, if we get a late start, that'll be funny. I don't want to. Okay, good. And that allows me to talk about things some more. Again, watching a whole race does increase the length of this video, sorry. But I should have timestamps if nothing else. So, here I'm afraid that I don't have enough speed as I crack my knuckles in real life. But now we should have the stamina. Unfortunately, I think I have too much stamina. The funny thing about that is, again, so we'll talk about things I've seen in the community, just in general, English anyway. So there is talk about, again, mainly green skills. The more detailed nuance is that you're normally taking green skills because you're preparing for a certain type of race. As I may have mentioned before, I think I did. If you're getting bottlenecked or stuck finishing past a goal race that an Uma Musume has, oh, I swallowed something bad. You want to take, you find a green skill that helps with that race, feel free to take it. It's not the biggest increase. I think it's a flat stat usually, based on the icon or just the effect in general. But maybe it's the boost you need to pass that race. Now, you shouldn't rely on that, but until you get better support cards, unfortunately in my case, since I'm not doing a lot of support card scouting anymore, then you need to look where you can get it. One of the RNG parts of that is that during training, you could run into just a random support card, and maybe they drop a hint for you, and then you could pick that up. The game does have its ways to help you out. Thankfully, we could still block that, but I think we're so far behind it doesn't matter. But Yeah, there are ways to get past the race, but you do need to explore the different ways. Again, whether it's a support card, or getting better support cards, or following someone with a support card you need or would like, whether it's taking a skill, even though you don't want to take skills at the moment. But again, in my opinion, if you're just trying to raise URA champions, just use the skill points. Because once you're in a race, I don't think you can take skills anymore when you're in the clock phase, so you have to evaluate your risks and stuff, because now that I'm here, if I keep failing this, then I will regret not taking a skill that could have helped me out. My reasoning behind this, as we are actually passing up ahead, although yeah, we have a bit of ways to make. My reason for that is that because the requirements are so low, and because your stats are so low in general, at the during when you're doing the goals, then even just a flat stat increase is a big increase for a race. For example, let's just say this race required 300 stamina, and I only have 260. Well, if I take a stamina perk, then I technically have, say, 280 stamina, and that's a bigger increase, nearly a 10% increase in performance and stamina than, say, if I took it at the end, even though sometimes it's flat. Green stats are flat, that's why we're mentioning green stats in general. But you get what I mean. Taking a green stat earlier helps you out more in the early, but in practice, it's not really worth it. But if you need to pass a goal later on, like one of these, place first in Takarazaka Kinen, place first in Tenno Sho Autumn, then yeah, it might help you out. If it's the difference between victory and defeat. Again, there's RNG factors anyway, so it's hard to tell if it's actually helping you, but again, if it's gonna help you, it might as well. And since everyone agrees that usually green skills are usually flat increases, if that flat increase helps you out, then take it, I say. Because either you fail without taking the green skill, or you take it and maybe get to URA. The negative situations are if you take it and didn't need it, and so all you did was just use up skill points. But again, if you're just trying to get URA, if you're just trying to get to, say, grade D or even just C with your whole team, just use skills. Later on, though, you do want to be very... and then you can also be very lax in your use of skill points, because your stats will be so high that you don't need skills, which are what skills are there to help you out for anyway, so... And in the case of some skills that I think are multiplicative, I think if there aren't any multiplicative skills when they proc, I would be very surprised. But you get the point. When those skills occur, when you need those skills, they will most likely be for outside of the scenario mode, or you're trying to build up legacy Musume to get inspirations that you want. Or you're just looking for certain skills. I mean, that too. We finally got the Spitchan... I'm using the Japanese pronunciation. A special week event, which is the free one, by the way. We can talk about that next. So, I think we're gonna go for acceleration, velocity, or speed, basically. And again, so rainy days, so you get... I think this is extra guts, but since guts is worthless right now, I would say just skip this. If you're feeling like lucky and you just decide to style on people, sure, but I promise you don't, unless you're also trying to just grind for points during the team races, but then you should take other skills instead. So on, like, there's a lot to say. By the way, so yeah, since we are playing with a lot of medium long and end style skills, yeah, our wit isn't that high. Yeah, I'm just gonna take a bunch of yellows. Focus is for late starts, but even if it's just a 5% help to me, like, I would rather take it, because my wits are low anyway, so I'm banking on the fact that I'm unlucky enough to get a late start in my very first race. Let's find out. I think there is a lot to commentate. Also, we're in pain here anyway, so my stats could be just too low regardless. But let's find out. So yeah, so about the special week SSR. This is the SSR you get for the event. I'll talk about it at the end of the video as well, if you just want to skip to the timestamp and don't want to watch the rest of this training. But this is the SSR you'll be able to uncap if you do this whole event. And if nothing else, this is still a good time to play Uma Musume, because you will be able to... I think you can still uncap this reliably. It might be a bit tight at this point, but if there's anything else to say... It's not a deal breaker, but it is significant having this card, especially if it's just, even if you don't have any skills that you want to see, the support effects for having a fully uncapped SSR it's going to grant you a huge bonus. If you even just go back and look at my other Japanese server training, Me just using this and the Rice Shower Stamina SSR. Basically, they're free to play SSR or SSR you get during events by playing during the event and getting the event points. They help out a lot. Certainly more than me just using one uncapped Mihono Purobin here for a rarity, and then we're getting rushed here, so rip my stamina. But that's, I guess, having extra stamina helps here. But it can mess up other things as well. So rush does another effect. I forgot the exact effects. I think that procs based on a wits challenge between Uma Musume. Correct me if I'm wrong. Again, if no one else than myself, I'm saying this out loud to try and learn my own what may be correct, what may not be correct. And then late start is a similar thing. But that's what I mean by Guts has a specific mechanic called Showdown. You'll see it proc on the top right, and since I haven't seen that yet, we are not on a patch version, so on and so forth on the global server, where that is in effect, which means Guts has less value right now than it will in the future. So if nothing else, as we kind of sit through the last phase of the race here, for anyone who doesn't know Uma Musume, even if you start late, don't fear too much, because unless you're really, I mean, you can be in the middle, but in terms of Uma Musume gameplay-wise, you can be very, very casual, or very, very, I don't want to say try hard or sweaty, but essentially trying to go for PvP. There is a level of RNG, but obviously strategy does win out, but RNG does have a bigger point. So, as we run our gold ship as a pace Musume here, yeah, that's thing. And so that, if nothing else, this video also tells you, yeah, if you have, everyone should have, again, one of the 5 girls, one of them being Daiwa Scarlet here. This will grant you an increase in pace, and if for no one else, then Gold Ship you can bring your pace from B to A, which is a huge thing. Just outright, aptitudes are very important. If you don't have an A in aptitude, you might struggle. You can slide by with B, but you need to make it up with a lot of stats. The way I think about it is that aptitudes bring out a multiplier, so consider A like a 1.0. It might be a little higher, but you get the point. 1.0 multiplier to all of your stats. So if you're at B, I think it's like 0.9, 0.8. That might not be the total case, but that's how I envision how it works. And then S means that you're performing, yeah, you perform well for it. So again, just to look right here, we have an A in turf, A in medium and long, A in pace and end. I could put A to late if I give a legacy of simply Rudolph, but you get the point. And they can increase up to, I think, just S? I can't remember. Maybe later on we can get more. Again, I stopped playing the Japanese version because I lost my data. So, anywho. I do still want power, but we want to spam stamina. So I think we're just going to recreate here. I'm not going to... I don't have Aoi. I don't have a trainer, so... Actually, we could have... Well, never mind. We got a carrot. So there are events that you should just learn right out. Raffle is one of them. Now that even though it's RNG, you should think about it. Also, I think, yeah, we want... I'm gonna shoot for 400. If I don't get Swinging Maestro, I should shoot for a little higher, like 420, 430. But after that, I should just dump everything into speed. Valentine's Day is a specific event where, yeah, you can upgrade the Uma Musume's unique skill. It depends on requirements, so that's kind of important to hit. And that's all I have to say at the moment. But yeah, everyone should... the takeaway that I accidentally tangented away from is that if you have Daiwa Scarlet, you can increase your pace grade up, which makes it easier to basically train. I think if you train late on end Uma Musume, it's a bit trickier because you need more of, well, essentially power. So that might not be that hard, but yeah, in my experience and watching other people try to train their Uma Musume, it's harder to see why things are happening the way they are. I'm gonna hope I get energy with this recreation. You're not guaranteed, and that was not even a lot, but hey. And so at this point, this is another very specific moment as we get another Super Creek into Swinging Maestro, thankfully, but I don't think we have enough skill points, no! But yeah, also, yeah, it's corner recovery. So if you get a gold skill, usually there is a white skill associated with it. So if you get this skill, so say I take corner recovery, that gives us because essentially it's level 1 and Swinging Maestro is level 2. That's why I made the mistake of getting deep breaths here. Actually, no, I should have known that. Never mind. Basically, there's a step process, so if you grab corner recovery, I don't know if it tells you immediately, but you'll come closer to getting Swinging Maestro, so don't feel too bad about grabbing the in-between, because gold skills will come with that thing. Also, yeah, 11% help. Okay, good. And then we rest, because we want to assume that we're going to continue on, especially after we get this inspiration here. But that being said, yeah, if nothing else, usually you're making better legacies anyway. The primary reason I took this Daiwa Scarlet was for the pace style aptitude increase. So Gold Ship went from B to A. Shrug, that's all I have to say. So, without further ado, yeah, we're gonna rest here, and we're gonna cross our fingers. I could have raced instead. Maybe we get enough... well, we definitely would have gotten enough... I forgot this event. Gotten enough skill points for corner recovery, but it's too late now, so... Rip. Yeah, we don't have enough stamina, apparently. I think you actually need a bit more stamina, but if I get Swinging Maestro, it shouldn't matter. I think Swinging Maestro is flat as well, but it's a big flat bonus. So... Oh, I'm still bracing N. That's why. I did this whole video, and I didn't notice I was on the N strategy. So I guess it's good we had the power, but we should be at the pace style. That's something else. Oh, so if nothing else, so if you are training up a Bakshi no, just put her in front style. Unless you know what you're doing, and then we get a late start. So, rip. Unless something weird happens, we may not complete the goal here, so... The good news is, if I can get to clock, I only clocked once still, I think, but we'll find out. And yeah, if I clock, I need to switch the style. So I wasn't racing on the style I was supposed to be racing the whole time, but hey, it's fine. Maybe? I can't see, because we're definitely not on the front. 2, 3rd, 4th, 5th. So, yeah. We're gonna clock. So we have... one more retry after this one, and let us switch our style to pace. Not that, yeah, it works out, and we have a lot of power for it, but I am building into speed anyway, so I would rather run pace than run end, because we need a lot more, just in general, to do end. In my opinion, anyway. Again, I forgot how the calculations work, maybe I'm just completely wrong, but we'll find out. Don't late start, at least. Well, hey, focus. Let's just go to the end here. So, yeah, we're 9th this time. I think we're stuck behind someone, but still, though. Late start, from what I observed, seen, and read, late start can cause a lot of positioning issues, which result in what you see here. So even though I built pace and I should be around 4th or 3rd right now, moving into 1st, late starts can cause you to drop behind and go out of position of where you want to be. So, ouch. Yeah, we probably didn't even break 5th. So, pain. And here's our last clock. So, yeah, without further ado, this would have changed a lot, actually, before, but... although I would have wanted more speed. We also need more stamina anyway, but I should have actually considered racing in the week prior, or turn prior. And, yeah. On a random note, I have experienced the Chihaya spiral, so hey... But we'll watch through this race because this could be the last race of the video, and yeah, we have gone for a bit. I'm looking at OBS and it's like 37, 38 minutes. So, let's hope. We are stuck with a bunch of other Uma Musume at 12th, moving into 11th, moving further, but we have the power. The question is, do we have the stamina and then the speed? The speed is a bit lower than what I would assume. Now that sounds like a general statement because if all of my stats were higher by 100, we would probably just demolish this race, but with some RNG, but so yeah, this is what we want to see. Late starts are you don't want to see, and if you see rush, it was called, I think, panic in the Japanese version, but if your Uma Musume gets rushed, you don't want to see that either, especially if your stamina just meets the requirements. Aside from that, that can cause positioning issues, because that forces your Uma Musume, I think it's specifically, it puts your Uma Musume into the rush state, but to break out of it, they need to proc based on wits, I believe? So yeah. Also, don't take the visuals for granted, although they are kind of important, because Uma Musume can sprint past each other at a pretty tight thing. If I didn't show you the Urara race, Urara was literally racing under the arm of another Uma Musume, and I was like, wow, they can get that close. So, yeah, let's see what happens here. I think I'm missing stamina, but I'm definitely missing speed. Did I need to win this one, by the way? Well, if I get out of this, I'll definitely build speed, and then we'll see what happens. But I think it could go either way. We'll see what happens in the last phase. I think we're in phase 3 or 4 right now. Reaching phase 4 or 5 in a moment, but yeah, hopefully I want to see Gold Ship move forward right here. If not, and you're in pace, bad things can happen. Actually, this is a long race, so I misread the length that we have left. The commentator is literally telling you how many meters are left, but still, I want Gold Chip to pull forward ahead here. So the positioning here does help. There are some navigational perks, but really, again, take skills if you need to, but if you can do without, don't. And you'll know that within even just 2 or 3 training career sessions, but hey. So yeah, we are definitely struggling here. We need to proc some skills. I know Gold Chip's wits is low, but we just have to hope. Nope, it is not happening. Maybe if we proc something now, it's a bit late. Don't know if we can get first. I hope we just need top 3. Even then, I don't think we're gonna clear our goal here. So, gonna be doing more. Maybe the next ones I do, because I'm gonna be popping endurances here. Maybe they're better, but we'll find out. Yeah, definitely like 7th. Was that 7th? And we will move out. So, as we near the end of this video, because I hurt myself, lack the guts is essentially another way of saying you lack stamina, so we'll look towards it. This is a 3,200 meter race, so really should have had about 450, 500 with an extra stamina perk. In fact, I didn't even proc the 1 stamina perk I had, so that would have helped out immensely. But we're just going to take this here, hope for like a 2-star inspiration on anything really. I think you can proc 2-star inspirations, or stat inspirations here. Nope, never mind. But either way, yeah, we'll head out, and I'll show you at least the carrot to money, real life money situation, and then I'll show you the event for the special week, which again, if you start even now, maybe even tomorrow, it's going to be tight. I don't know if it's possible, but I would say it's going to be tight for you to get it. So let's find out shortly. So yeah, first off, no need to edit team. My team is just like a D right now. But also, just really quick tip, if you're in a club, donate. You will get more than enough materials than you need. You need the club points. If for no other reason, I can show you now, I guess. So you want the club points so you can get basically the FTP SSR, one of them being Meijino McQueen stamina if you need stamina, and then like I said, like I showcased in my Japanese videos, Rice Shower SSR stamina. And sometimes you're looking at the skills, but really you want to pick those up because those are your other SSRs. Yeah, they're stamina, they're not power or speed, which is probably what you want. Sometimes wits, and then the fine motion one, of course, but again, for free-to-plays, it's really important to grab those. So, we'll look at Scout really quickly just to explain. So you need 200 exchange points to guarantee the banner. And so what that equates to, as we look up at our carrots here, is that you need 30,000 carrots, because 1,500 carrots is a 10 pull, and you usually want to do 10 pulls. Unless you're just feeling frisky, I wouldn't recommend that though. Excuse me. And if you look at just regular carrots here, yeah, it'll be a bit less, but here, let's just assume, so you buy this pack, that's $70 USD, 6 times, that's $420 USD, and that's how much you need to pity a banner. I'm shrugging in real life as I say that. So that's all I have to say on that, and I'm a complete free-to-play, so I'll do my best. Although, I am just going insane for gold ships, so... And then, yeah, for the prize derby here, this is where 3 of the cards come from. So if you look at the bingo rewards, if you do card 1, you get 1 copy, which I have, the second one, third one, and then the other 2 come from elsewhere. But as you can see here, I'm on my 25th spin on my second card, and I'm sad. So, but then the other ones come from, I think, these rewards. So there's 3 in the bingo. There's 1 here. I think there's 1 at the end of the event when the rest of the event story unlocks. So this is the 4th one. The rest of the goodies here are good as well, if for no other reason than the carrots, but definitely the goddess statues, which I burned just to buy gold ship stars, and the dream glimmer for potential increases. These are all useful essentially, and then the scout tickets as well, which I burned one just for giggles, and I regret it now. But still though. That's the case. So if you play within, I think, even just 2 days, it's gonna be really tight in my opinion. But you can definitely still clear this event, especially because during this time you'll get the pre-registration bonuses. One of those bonuses being you get a bunch of toughness 30s. So this essentially how much you hold are the amount or the exact number of extra training you can do, aside from the TP that you regen every 10 minutes. So 1 TP per 10 minutes in about 15 hours, you can go from 0 to 100 TP. A little more than that, but you get the point. So yeah, without further ado, not going to take up much more of your time. If you have anything to say, any advice you want to give to me, because you're like, Jordan, you did this wrong, aside from me not putting Gold Ship on pace, then yeah, let me know. Otherwise, if you comment, I'll usually try to reply, at least think about it, and nothing else to say. If you want to support me, you know what to do. If you see any ads on any of my Musume videos, it's not me, because I'm not monetizing any of my Musume content. And I will see you later. Thank you for watching. Bye!